When I was at uni, I remember being taught to use complicated mathematical equations to work out whether a bridge would fail and where its weak points would be. Now, I don't mind telling you that maths isn't my strong point, and on a good day, I was only just keeping up with the lecturers. Occasionally, I'd be on their wavelength. Okay, yes, I'm getting it. I can see that AB does equal R over t squared, and that the x-axis has something to do with the y-axis, does it? Was it over r squared? And then I'd lose it. It would unravel like the wisps of a half-remembered dream. The calculations on the board proved it was true. And some days I really understood it, but other days it was just a jumble of letters and numbers on the board that meant nothing to me. Does faith ever feel like that to you? Complicated? Sometimes only half understood, but other times really clear and obvious. Does it ever feel like my engineering class? Just a jumble of letters and numbers that everyone else seems to understand but you? Well, it does for me. Take the Nicene Creed, for example. I love this bit of the church service. Affirming my faith out loud, the essence of our Christian faith clearly put out in one statement. We believe in God, we believe in one God, the Father, the Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all that is seen and unseen, etc. You know the rest. It's a lovely bit of liturgy, but wow, it really packs a lot in. Incarnation, salvation, crucifixion, resurrection, heaven, baptism, the prophets, judgment, forgiveness, the life of the world to come. That's a lot. Just like the algebra calculations on the board. I know it's true. I know it's true. It's just sometimes it feels quite heavy and complicated. Bits of it seem hard to grasp, like those thin strands of dream. I don't know about you, but I'm finding this especially so during lockdown. I think it's because I can't access the usual things that feed and sustain my faith, like taking communion, singing together, sitting in our church buildings and absorbing the weight of 100,000 prayed prayers over the generations, hanging in the air. Hugging members of our congregation. I can't even have a hand on my shoulder as a Christian blesses me or prays for me. The truths of my faith can feel complicated and distant. I can feel a little lost. So what do I do? Well, thankfully, God has done it for me. I don't know if you've noticed, but there are a gazillion rainbows all around us, in almost every other window in our parish, and drawn on pavements in chalk. Rainbows are everywhere right now. Why? Well, at the start of lockdown, a mum somewhere asked her child to paint one and put it up in the window. The idea being that children, as they walk past, can maybe spot them, look out for them. She asked other parents to do the same, and because it's such a simple way of bringing joy to people's lives, the idea spread really quickly, and as you know, they're now everywhere. Back in March, I heard someone with a bit of biblical knowledge saying, "What a load of rubbish. Don't they know it's a sign of the flood?" And then somebody with a bit more biblical knowledge said, "Actually, it's about God's promise. It's a sign of hope." God said, "I establish my covenant with you, that never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of a flood, and never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth." God said, "I have set a bow in the clouds, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth." So right now, when we're cut off from the things and the people that we love, when our faith isn't being fed in the usual ways, when we might be feeling grey and lonely and fearful, isn't it just wonderful that these bright, cheerful rainbows have begun spontaneously popping up all around us? They're certainly helping me when faith feels hard. Because to us Christians, they're not just lovely to look at. For Christians, each one is a simple, clear, uncomplicated reminder of God's promise to each and every one of us. They're a big, back to basics, bold banner. They whisper in a child's voice. They tap you on the shoulder. And they messily, simply blurt out with crayon and smudges and paint. that you are not cut off from God. To me, these rainbows say God is with you. God is here. God has not left you. God made a promise. God is not separate from you. God has not cut you off. In John's Gospel account on today's pew sheet, Jesus said this about the Holy Spirit. But you know him, for he lives with you and will be in you. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. Over the last month, we've heard several different ways of recognising God during lockdown. Rick reminded us that not even locked doors can keep Jesus from entering our homes. That we can recognise him through companionship when we come together as church, even though we're physically separate. And how we recognise the voice of Jesus, the Good Shepherd. Well, today I'm sharing with you my own way of recognising God. When faith feels complicated and I need simple, I just need to look around me. I don't need to understand the physics that crafts the rainbow from the sun and the rain. I just need to look out for it. God's rainbow promise is everywhere. God has not and never will cut me off. God is here. His Spirit is with us.